Okay, so earlier it said, if I was to bring the Son to you, the Sun, showing that Jesus, the little Son, to you, and his coming forth, he shall not give his light. In the Bible, okay, tells you what Jesus and God are, the two sons that I showed a picture of. Okay, and he comes back and forth. He goes through portals all the time. Every day he goes through portals. Okay. So God is the great light, and Jesus is the second greatest light, and we're coming the third greatest light. Lighter will be greater than the angels that were never brought down to this earth. And so we have to go through much more. They don't go through anything. They just stay up in heaven with God from the beginning till the end with us. They're waiting for us. Okay. They've always been angel. Okay. And they're a light in the sky too, a star, a messenger. Okay, so this is the third. Therefore, God was not wroth with them, nor impatient with them. God is long suffering. But he was long, I didn't even know that was coming. But he was long suffering, patient and long suffering. He suffers with you. While you're going through all the trials and tribulations you were going through, it suffers him too, guys. He knows you're hurting. And forbearing towards them and towards the children he had created. See how he gives me the word right after he speaks it through the channel? He looks out to his word to perform it. I said impatient, and I went and said long suffering, and I kept reading. There it was, showing that this is the word of God. There's many scriptures in this book. This is of the Bible. Okay. He took it out for a time, and now it's back in the Bible. So then came the word of God to Adam and said to him, Adam, as for the son, if I were to take it and bring it to thee, days, hours, years, and months would all come to naught. So if he was to bring Jesus here, everything would be filled. The Son, the Son, the Sun, is the small son inside the great Son. And Enoch tells you that the fire inside that has a river of fire, because you have to go through that crucible, which is fire, to to get out the dross to make your gold pure. That takes your entire life. So, in the covenant I have made with thee would never be fulfilled if he brought the Son. In the Bible, it says, let me refer to that. And the stars shall not give their light, and in his coming forth he shall not give his light. KJV, Isaiah 13:10 tells you what it is. For the stars of heaven in the constellation shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth. Tells you the little sun is him, and the great sun is God. In his going forth, the Sun. Read it for yourself. I will consume them by the brightening of my coming. He's consuming even the evil out of you with it. I noticed yesterday when we got hit with that wave, darkness was coming out of me. It's a process, and it's going to happen fast. Okay. So the sun shall not be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. You are her. Everyone that's dead and that's in the moon is her. That's why it's called she or her. It says it many times in the Bible. It gives away what the sun and the moon is in the Bible. Okay. So we all know that. So if he was to bring back when Adam and Eve were there, the SUN, everything would be fulfilled. Whose prophecy? Jesus. Everything would be fulfilled. I learned who the sun and the moon was through many books. That's why these books are needed. And people say, "Oh, those aren't for the end time." Yes, they are. Talks about latter days, end times in them all the time. Daniel was told to close the books up, and God took them out of the Bible on purpose because it didn't serve them a purpose because they weren't going to live in the end time. God just like what he does with this channel wants you to find out who God is. He wants you to pay attention to finding your soul, not paying attention to this blowing up, that government, this and that. You'll know everything when it comes time. God will tell his children first. Okay? So it took much reading to understand what the sun was. And even evil people tell you what the sun and the moon is. There it is. Why has it got a face on it? Come on, guys. It's very easy. That's why I keep this here. Okay, so but thou shouldest then be turned and left in a long plague. Plagues on this earth. Back at Adam and Eve's time. Demons are plagues, viruses, evil, cancer, and the kids with autism, born with a deaf and dumb spirit, and kids with ADHD and mentally handicapped people. Those are God's eyes, by the way. And no salvation would be left to thee forever if he brought him back. So let's go again. If it came to the world, Adam said unto him, and Adam, as for the son, if it if I were to take it and bring it to thee, days, hours, years, months would all come to naught, and the covenant I have made with thee would never be fulfilled. Jesus fulfills it. But thou shouldest then be turned and left in a long plague, and no salvation would be left to thee forever. Jesus is salvation. Salvation is given from the beginning because he's the salvation. Deliverance is given from the beginning of your life till the end. From who? Jesus. Jesus is salvation. That's why it was given to us from the beginning or to the end. You either have Jesus or you don't. In the Bible, in Second Thessalonians 2:13, it says, I have chosen you from the beginning to salvation, to give you to Jesus, because he's the one that saves us. Salvation. And people say, well, I lost my salvation. No, you never had it. If you lose it, you never had it. You never had Jesus. So the Lord actually corrected and put it together just now about salvation from the beginning. Jesus is the one who saves us. If you're given Jesus right from the beginning, if you're a seed of God, you're given Jesus from the beginning. He walks you in, he walks you out. Salvation is to you from the beginning because you will find Jesus. If you're of God's child, you will find Jesus. There's no doubt in my mind of that. Even when you're the wickedest, you'll find Jesus. Yea, rather bear long and calm. See, a lot of people don't understand when he says the sun, little sun, is not the sun. God's light is the sun, but he is a small sun. And it explains that right here, what I just went over. So you rather bear long and calm thy soul while thou abidest night. We're in night and day, and we're in day sometimes. Some days you have evil come on you. That's night. It's not talking the night, the dark night. The evil that comes, you'll have, it says something about the evil day. Don't fear the evil days. There'll be many days where you'll be in night. Might not be for long. Might be for 5 minutes. Depends how you react. Run to the Bible. Pray. Sing to the Lord. Seek out the Lord, and he will flee. Night and day, until the fulfillment of days and the time of my covenant is come. He consumes them with the brightness of his coming. You look outside in my where I live now, it's plus 16. It should be 0 degrees right now. It's like 16 to 20 degrees over of what it should be at this time. And the light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. The all consuming fire. Then shall I come and save thee, O Adam, for I do not wish that thou be afflicted. He doesn't like you being afflicted, but that's how he does it, like a father. If he wasn't hitting you with a rod, you'd keep sinning. Okay? So he uses the wicked to do that. The wicked deliver you. Out of all the wickedness you've done, that'll deliver you because you'll run from it. So when this is so biblical, and when I look in all good things in which thou didst live, and why thou comest out of them, then would I willingly show thee mercy. But I cannot after the covenant that has gone out of my mouth. Else has he built everything out of here with frequencies. Else I would have brought thee back into the garden. They have to fulfill what they were put here for, to do God's will. God made us for his will, even evil for his will, for his enjoyment, for his pleasure, not yours. So our pleasure comes when we leave this body. So when howsoever the covenant is fulfilled, then I shall show thee and thy seed mercy. What? Because we're sinning till the end. Until it's fulfilled, then he will show his seed mercy, true mercy, the fullness of mercy, because he saved you out of mercy. That's why we are to have mercy on people. Okay, that's right in the Bible. So, whensoever the covenant is fulfilled, then I shall show thee and thy seed mercy. At the end, his mercy is everlasting long because you're going to sin. He died for your sins once and for all. That means all till the end. Because if you're in this flesh, he even says in this book, not one day of not sinning. And bring thee into the land of gladness, where there neither sorrow nor suffering, but abiding joy and gladness, and light that never fails, and praises that never cease. He's telling you a little bit about heaven here. And a beautiful garden that shall never pass away. Because that garden's going to fall here and it's going to spread across the whole earth and make the whole earth his garden. The new heavens and the new earths going to be here. That's the garden. That's going to come down and crash on the earth. So Satan's already been cast down, so he's not one that's going to be. He might go by in a fireball and finish filling the guy's spirit, but he was groomed to be the Antichrist, whoever is. Just like Trump was. In 83, he was telling all the things he was going to do and telling Oprah, if I was president, I would win. How did he know that? Because they groomed him for that. He is of them. People realize that. When he got put in, I said he is to give truth. And after this term, he won't be put back in. And people called me a liar. There was a prophecy the Lord gave me that came true. And there's a few others. Okay. And they're to do with the people. I told the people, you keep listening to him, God's going to chasten you out. That person called me 6 months and that exact thing. And it doesn't matter. Okay. It's all by God. So 16, and God saith again unto Adam, be long suffering and enter into the cave. We are long suffering our whole entire life. For the darkness of which thou wast afraid shall only be 12 hours long, and when ended, the light shall arise. So he's telling you that trial you got, and it could be more than that. He's not telling you the exact time. Okay. I've gone through a trial for 7 years or 6 years of pride and 6 years of sexual lust. And they're coming less and less and less because he's consuming them out of me. He's hollowing them out of me. He's purging out them the dross, the metal that's not gold. Then when Adam heard these words from God, he and Eve worshiped before him, and they their hearts were conformed. They returned into the cave after their custom, while tears flowed from the eyes, and sorrow and wailing came from their hearts, and they wished their soul would leave their body. We all do. We're all waiting for the coming of the Lord. That's in the Bible. We all wish. We're all waiting on the Lord. When is this coming? When is this coming? They have been since he died. They thought he was going to come back the second time back then. So, and Adam and Eve stood praying until the darkness of night came upon them, and Adam was hid from Eve, and Eve and she from him, literally, physically, and spiritually. You don't know the hearts of the people. That's why we don't condemn them. That's why we don't call them names. That's why we don't do that. That's backbiting. God doesn't like that. We don't condemn people as liars. I've done it, and I paid for it. Done it more than once, guys. Just because they're not telling you the truth that Jesus gave you doesn't mean they're liars. It means their eyes aren't fully open to what yours are. You've grown to a higher level. Okay. And I'm not saying I have. So and and they remained standing in prayer. They remained in prayer, not ceasing in prayer and standing, not kneeling down and bowing to the ground, because that's not where God is. God's above. Open thy hands, palm with palms, it's called, and pray upwardly, not praying down to the ground. Who are you praying to when you're praying down to the ground with your hands like this down? We pray up. It says it in the Bible. It's called palms. So the second tempting of Adam and Eve, the devil takes on the form of a being light, beguiling light. The devil, like here, shows of man and see the snake rapid and turning into a man, and it's light. So when Satan, the hater of all good, saw how they continued in prayer and how God communed with them and confronted them, and how he had accepted their offering, Satan made a apparition. He manifested. He began with transforming his hosts, his angels. In his hands was a flashing fire, and they were in great light. They were of the great light. They were, but they're not anymore. And he placed his throne near the mouth of the cave, because he could not enter into it by reason of their prayers. He can't enter into you, only to your flesh, but not to who you are, your heart of hearts. He cannot enter into that because of our prayers. He might enter into our flesh and our members, but he can't penetrate your spirit and your soul. That's why you're just never cease praying. and I don't. So yet when the evil days come on my flesh, it's not him that's doing it, it's him. They don't understand that. And he shed light into the cave until the cave glistened over Adam and Eve, while his hosts begun to sing praises. And Satan did this in order that when Adam saw the light, he comes as a bearer of light to beguile them, to seduce them, to put the seed in Eve. And he should think within himself that it was heavenly light and that Satan's hosts were angels. He doesn't come to us in light. If you get a visitation, you don't see light. You don't know what it is, but you do in your heart. You see it in your heart. This is where people go, I had a great light of angel coming to me in the back alley. No. How does Satan come? As a bearer of light. That's what this is telling you. Thinking, thinking it's of God, but he comes without sight through your flesh. Why? Because your flesh is a beast. It's a veil. It won't see the light of God. But because Satan comes as a bearer of light, your flesh will see it. And it'll trick you and beguile you and make you think you were baptized or an angel came to you. I know a teacher that said, I was in the back alley and I saw a great light. No, you didn't. You saw the devil and he took you over. Okay. And you were beguiled by him thinking it was an angel of light. That's the 1,000 points of light. Doesn't come as light. God, God's angels don't come as light. You don't see them because your flesh is a beast. It covers them. It veils that. Veils the truth. So when it comes as light, you think it's true? No, it's not. That's the light bearer. I know a teacher that said that. And then he started cursing me. And I never went back to his channel. Okay? I'm not saying any names. I'm not here to condemn them. And Adam saw the light that he should think himself that it was heavenly light, the 1,000 points of light. He comes as the light bearer. God doesn't. Angels don't. You don't see him with your eyes because that's the beast. You see him in your spirit. And I literally came out of my spirit and said, Lord, Lord, I know whose seed I am, not to boast, lest any man boast. And that Satan's hosts were angels, and that God had sent them to watch at the cave. He was beguiled. He beguiled them. They saw the light. When the song says, "I saw the light, I saw the light," not with your eyes, not with these eyes, but with this eye, the spiritual eye, and gave him light in the darkness. And they thought, man, that's got to be God. Doesn't come like that. Your flesh is a veil and will not see. Because if you did see, if your flesh wasn't a veil, you would see everything. So there's two veils. There's one above your head, and you are one. God will let you see through the veil, but it won't be what you think it is. You'll see it with this, not your eyes. It happened to me. So that when Adam came out of the cave, he saw them, and Adam and Eve bowed to Satan. Huh. Then he would overcome Adam. Every time you sin, you're overcame. He will overcome the saints of Most High. Many times. Many, many, many times. Just like Adam and Eve. Same story. Just like Job. Same story. Just like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the apostles. The same story. He never changes. He stays the same today, tomorrow, and forever. How do you change something perfect? Can't change something perfect. And Adam thereby, and a second time, humble him before God. When therefore Adam and Eve saw the light, fancying it was real, they strengthened their hearts. Yet as they were trembling, Adam and Eve said, look at that great light and those many songs and prayers, praise, and at the host standing outside that do not come in to us. God would have came into them. They were starting to see maybe this isn't God. So do not tell us what they say or whence they come or what is the meaning of this light, what those praises are, wherefore they have been sent hither, and why they do not come in. They don't come in to hear. They're all gathered around you. Same thing as the Bible talks about. Darkness is around us all the time. This is biblical. And people, oh, those books aren't of the Bible. Oh my God, every single line comes out of the Bible. So if they were God, they would have come to us in the cave, what I just said. I didn't know that was coming. And would tell us their errand. They would tell us why they were there. Then Adam stood up and prayed unto God with a firmament heart, with his heart, not his flesh, and said, O Lord, is there in the world another God, small g? Then thou was created angels and filled them with light and sent them to keep us. Who would come with them? But lo, we see these hosts that stand at the mouth of the cave, and they are not great lights. They sing loud praises. That's fake Christians. They sing praises to the Lord. But do they have the light in them? I can't say. And if there is some other small g God, then thou tell me. He already told them. They already were hinting on to that. And if they aren't sent by thee, inform me of the reason of which thou hast sent them. No sooner than Adam had said this, then an angel from God appeared unto him in the cave. In the cave. Yeah? In your spiritual eyes. That happened to me. Who said unto him, O Adam, fear not the evil. It's going to come to your flesh over and over and over. This is Satan and his host. He is a serpent, but this time he come to you in the multitude of angels of light, in order that when you worshiped him, he might enter all you, entereth in you all. And they knew that. That's why when I hear dark teachings, false teachings, I see them as dark. Okay? Because that's what Satan does. He tricks people to follow him. That's what false doctrine does too. In the very presence of God. So then the angel went into Adam and seized Satan at the opening of the cave and stripped him of his fiat that he had assumed and brought him into his own hideous form to Adam and Eve, who were afraid of him when they saw him. That's why God doesn't show you all the angels. Okay? You might be afraid from them. So if you just join now, you might want to start from the beginning, because this is a whole book I'm trying to teach. So, and the angel said unto Adam, the hideous form of has been his ever since God made him fall from the heavens. He could not have come near you in it. He can't come near this. He can come near your flesh, and your brain is part of that. Therefore did he transform himself into an angel of light. There you go. If an angel of light comes to you, you must pray to God to get it away from you, because he comes as the light bearer, and it fools many people. And they think they're being saved and an angel is there saving them. But God showed me different when he took me out of my body. I didn't see anything, but I felt and I heard rushing waters, and I saw my spirit above being baptized by the Holy Ghost and taken up into heaven. Part of my spirit can't put new wine into old bottles. I'm of this earth, but not on it. My riches are in heaven. My treasuries are in heaven. Whatever. I go to the Father to build you a place 2,000 years ago, on the time of your birth. I thought of you before the earth was made. I gave you uh, salvation before you were born. You're either the seed of God or seed of salvation is Jesus. So he gave you to Jesus before you were even born because you're the seed and you become his brethren. There's so much to it. I could just keep going and going and going and with my own words, but we're trying to teach. Well, sorry, with the words of the Bible, not my own words. Those are all biblical. Then the angel drove away Satan and his host from Adam and Eve and said unto them, Fear not, who God who created you will strengthen you. So will Jesus. He went, killed himself many times, just like we do when we transgress. I got to get the shirt off. I'm boiling. So So they're lying about the weather because 3 weeks ago when I was in BC, they said 75% of Canada is going to be covered with snow. It's not. They're lying about wormwood coming. Wormwood's already here at the beginning of the Bible. They're lying about Sochi. Sochi is made in a Hollywood basement. They're tossing rockets at the sun. Get real. They're denying what God's doing and people they're hiring to do that for. I see the pride in them. God resists the proud. Okay, and I know that firsthand. This story, this book, you need to go back to the beginning and listen to the whole thing. And I do other teachings in between because people question me on things. Wormwood is a dark angel. It's like an angel and it gets bitter in your belly. Simple. I don't want to go any more with it because my earlier teaching teaches that. And the angel went from them, but Adam and Eve remained standing in the cave. No consolation came to them. They were divided in their thoughts. And when it was morning, they prayed and they went out to seek in the garden, for their hearts were the garden on earth. Their hearts were towards it, to the other one. They wanted to get back with God. And they could get no consolation for having left it. The devil pretends to lead Adam and Eve to the water to bathe. This book's going to take me. I'm going to go and that's why hold on. I'm going to go and teach it until it's over and I still have other unfinished work. I have to finish the Gospels here. I'm getting into some important parts. So maybe after this show, I'm on all day. Okay. I care if nobody's in. I don't really care at all. So I give up on that. Right. People will watch. There, many people have itchy ears right now. It's worse ever than it was before. So I understand that. And there'll be a time where they come in to listen to the real word that Jesus speaks through me. Although I'm suffering just like Adam and Eve and you are, and I'm going through sin, and it's getting better and better and better and better, and all my trust is in Jesus. These guys committed one of the worst sins we're on 4 times now, 4 or 5 times now, they killed themselves. They did one of the worst sins, committed murder on themselves, guys. And God kept lifting them up because you have to learn how Satan works. And sometimes when you learn how he works, you don't know the fullness of it. Okay. And lots of times I go, why did I do? I don't understand. I never blame God. That's what they do. Well, God took my kid. God's a loving God. He would have never done that. He's sparing your son from the world to come. Sparing your daughter. Whoever he takes away, they're being spared, or either they're being consumed by the destroyer, which is Apollyon, Satan, and his angels. And you're either one or the other. Angel of light. God says once in the Bible, you were angels. You were like angels. Okay. He says it actually twice because Jesus said it once too. So him and Jesus said it once each. So yeah, this is going to be it's going to be a long time before we get through this. So the cherubim then said, "Well," and Gabriel went in and took the incense. Then God commanded his angel Raphael to go down into the garden and speak to the cherubim about some myrrh to give to Adam. They're always coming down. The water that runs down to the angels, sorry, Jesus, the angels to us, from us to other people that don't have the light. And the angel Raphael went down and told the cherubim as God had commanded him. And the cherubim said, "Well," then the cherubim said, "Well, then Raphael went in and took the myrrh. The golden the golden rods were from the Indian Sea, where they were precious stones, gold. The incense was from the eastern border of the garden, and the myrrh was from the western border, whence bitterness came upon Adam." There it was. Whence bitterness, wormwood, gives you bitterness in your belly. It does me when I get going against anybody, or when I'm doing something wrong, or even thinking something wrong. I get wormwood and it gets me sick. It's so much acid. It's so bitter. It's bitter. Wormwood is because you had an evil angel amongst you. And I'll admit it, I've had it many times as a Christian. And the angel brought thee three things to God by the tree of life in the garden. What was that? Raphael the cherubim and Gabriel and Raphael. Three things from the guard from by the tree of life. By it, angels. God's tree of life in the garden. Then God said to the angels, "Dip them into the spring water and take them and sprinkle the water over Adam and Eve." That's what he's doing with us, the blood, the water, the wine. He's sprinkling over us because if he was to pour it all out on you, you'd probably die because you'd reap what you're sowing instantly, all in one time. So he does it slowly because he loves you. He doesn't want to put too much on you that you can bear. That's biblical. Comforted in their sorrow and give them to Adam and Eve. We are never comfortable in this flesh. If you say you're comfortable in this flesh, get ready. You're going to go through some tribulation. Some people don't see that. I'm never comfortable. I'm always being afflicted. I'm always going through tribulation. And that's him purging us, using good or evil for good. So and the angel did as God had commanded them. And the reason why I know a lot of things, because I went through them. To learn them, you have to walk through them in the steps that Jesus put there for you. Then you can say, look what happened. You got to be a witness. Look what happened to me. Look what happened to me. I'm sure this is happening to you guys. It's not all about me. So it's about you. It's not about my flesh. My flesh is dead. So, and they gave all the things to Adam and Eve on top of the mountains, which Satan had placed them when he sought to make an end of them. And when Adam saw the golden rods and the incense and mirth, he was rejoiced and he wept because he thought that the gold was a token of the kingdom whence he had come. That because it is made of gold. Okay, the streets are made of gold, not houses. He has temples there because he says here in this book that we'll be giving praise afterwards. It talks a little bit about heaven in this, talks a little bit about heaven in the Bible. Little Enoch, a little here and there. Put it all together. And he talks not tons, but more than just a little bit about heaven. But you need to read all the books to find out. The incense and the token of the bright light, which had been token from him, and the mirth was a token of the sorrow in which he was. They make themselves more comfortable in the cave of treasures on the third day. After these things, God said unto Adam, thou didst ask of me something from the garden to become comforted therewith. And I gave them three things, their tokens as consolation to three. Remember the three? Gabriel, the cherubim, and Raphael. Angels. So I gave them three things. To be comforted therein, I've given thee three tokens as a consolation to thee, that thou trust in me and in my covenant with thee. I trust and he made a covenant with me on my birthday. Want me to show it again? I don't need to. I'm not here to prove nothing anymore. Not about me. I don't prove nothing. Only let's be given by God. He proves it. That's why I tell anybody, if you have something against the teaching, don't just leave. That's pride making you leave. Let's work it out and let God tell you, not me. I don't need to prove nothing. God will prove his own. God looks out to his word to perform it. And if you're speaking it, he will look out for it. Does it with me over and over and over. Even in this book. He's done it many times. I speak of something and boom, there it is. He does it instantly. And some people miss that. No, their pride. God resists the proud. I learned that the hard way. So I will come and serve thee, and the king shall bring me when in the flesh gold, incense, mirth, gold in the token of the kingdom, increase as a token of my divinity, and mirth of a token of my suffering and of my death. But O Adam, put thee in the cave, and the gold that it may shed light over thee. That's your treasure. Our treasure isn't of gold or silver. It's of everlasting life, your glorified body. The incense that the soul, that thou smell its sweet savor, and mirth too, comfort thee in thy sorrow. And Adam heard these words of God. He worshipped before him, and he said, Eve worshipped him and gave him thanks because he had dealt mercifully with them. They should have been dead. They committed murder 4 times. They weren't being obedient, just like us. So when God commanded Suriel and Salathiel to bear up Adam and Eve and bring them down from the top of the high mountain and take them to the cave of treasures, then they there they laid gold on the south side of the cave, and the incense of the eastern side, and the mirth on the western side, for the mouth of the cave was on the north side. The angel then comforted Adam and Eve and departed. And the gold was 70 rods, and the incense 12 pounds of mirth, and the mirth, 3 pounds. These remain by Adam in the house of treasures thereof was called of conceal concealment, but other im- interpreters interpreters say that it was called thy cave of the treasure by reason of the body of righteous men that were in it. The body of a righteous man that were in the cave were in it, not on the outside, because you have that veil. You're born into a beast. That's the veil. Stops you. Because why does your spirit war against the flesh? Because your flesh is a beast, and your beast doesn't likes to do sin, but your inner self doesn't. That's biblical. So these things God gave to Adam on the third day after he had come out of the garden in token of the 3 days that the Lord should remain in the heart of the earth. And there three things as continued as Adam in the cave gave light by night, and by day they gave him a little relief from his sorrow. A little. Huh. You didn't fully give them. So I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go for a sleep and come back on. It's going to take people time to catch up to this because you have to listen to the whole Adam and Eve story. So God bless you and see you in 45 or an hour.